The European Union's former Brexit negotiator Michel Barnier said on Wednesday the reality of Britain's decision to leave the bloc was only now being felt, years after the British 2016 referendum on membership. Listing the changes that Brexit has brought since January 1st, when Brexit ended the transition out of the bloc, Barnier said trade barriers, limits on citizens' movement and work visas were inevitable. He says for many people, the real consequences of the referendum are only now starting to sink in, Barnier told on an event in Switzerland via video links from Paris. And he said the reality which has become clear for all to see is that Brexit means recreating trade barriers that had not existed for 47 years. Exports of food and drink from Britain to the EU plunged by 75.5% in January, Britain's Food and Drink Federation has said, attributing much of the fall to post-Brexit barriers. The British government says UK-EU trade has been hit by the COVID-19 pandemic and problems with companies adapting to the new customs rules, which it expects to improve with time. Barnier also underlined that British and European citizens no longer enjoy free movement in each other's territories, highlighting the need for musicians to obtain paperwork for work permits and their equipment in the EU and in Britain. He also said Brexit was a lesson for the EU, which he said must show its 450 million citizens that the 27-state bloc benefited all and was not the distant, uncaring bureaucracy it is often portrayed to be by supporters of Brexit. Barnier defended his record of negotiating the EU-UK withdrawal agreement signed in January 2020 and the ensuing trade deal clinched on December 24th, although he questioned whether he and Britain's chief negotiator David Frost really understood one another. He said, "We managed to conclude an agreement on trade, though I'm still not entirely sure we understood each other all the time," Barnier said, putting it down to a certain view on Europe and sharing national sovereignty. Frost was seen as the architect of British Prime Minister Boris Johnson's hard Brexit strategy to leave the bloc with a limited trade deal. Barnier, a French conservative former minister and European commissioner, committed most of his political life to the deeper integration of European states. Of course, Brexit has even more consequences. The UK government promised that Brexit would liberate Britain from European trading regulations and herald a bright new era for Britain on the world stage. Yet, after spending years campaigning for the UK's exit from the European Union, Prime Minister Boris Johnson and his colleagues have been oddly quiet about Britain's fortunes ever since it left. The reason for their silence is becoming increasingly obvious. Since Britain left European trade and customs rules at the start of this year, there has been a dramatic decline in UK trade. According to the UK's Office for National Statistics, trade between the UK and the EU was hit hard in January, with exports down by 40.7% compared with December and imports from the EU down by 28% in the same period. This is the biggest overall fall in exports since records began, yet the decline for some sectors has even been worse. As I said before, analysts by the Food and Drink Federation published last week showed that exports in January dropped to $7 million or around $9.6 million from $45 million year on year, while whiskey exports dropped to $40 million from $105 million. This is a colossal decline for some sectors, including parts of the UK's world-renowned shellfish fishing industry. The decline could be permanent because of the EU's effectively locking Britain out of its market altogether, but by rules Britain made up themselves when they were a member. Far from liberating trade, Brexit has led to a massive increase in bureaucracy for many British businesses because of the additional checks now required. For some smaller businesses, the piles of paperwork, bureaucracy and export health certificate checks that are now required to trade with Britain's closest trading partner now make it very difficult to export anything at all. What am I hearing a lot is a lot of small businesses have been shut out completely. Dominic Gaudy, the head of international trade at the Food and Drink Federation, told Insider. Brexit is not the only reason that trade with the EU nosedived in January. Part of the drop-off was the result of pre-Brexit stockpiling and the COVID-19 pandemic, which has shuttered business across the continent, said Gaudy, and a British government official told Reuters that trade in February had partially rebounded, though official figures are yet to be published. Many leading business figures, however, believe that Brexit's impact will be permanent, with Adam Marshall, the outgoing Director General of the British Chambers of Commerce, telling Bloomberg last week that the impact appeared to be serious and structural. If you have a problem with one single item in that entire lorry, it delays everything else, Gaudy told Insider. That's the stuff that really worries me, Gaudy said. Larger businesses are adapting. The volume should start to pick up. But the smaller businesses, in particular, are going to be badly hit. That's what really concerns me in all of this, Gaudy said. Sales of many lower value items have in many cases simply become unviable. Simon Spurrell, a co-founder of the Cheshire Cheese Company, stopped exporting his packs of cheeses, which were priced at about £30 each, to the EU because each parcel needed to be accompanied by £180 health certificates, he told The Guardian. He said he had been advised by a minister to simply focus on exporting to other markets instead. Yeah, it's that easy. All of this is a long way from the bright new trading future promised by Johnson and the UK government. And while the political debate in Britain has been dominated by the coronavirus pandemic in recent months, the longer-term impact of the UK cutting its ties with its closest trading partners should soon become a massive political issue once again. And not a political issue, but a more fun and kind of urgent one because of the time running out. If you haven't taken part in my guessing game from my last Sunday's live stream and put your answers under the post on my community tab, you should start doing this, because the first part of the game, and you really can win a very nice prize, ends next Sunday when my live stream starts. So you better get started. If you missed it, the live stream is still online, so you can have a look what you have to do. And otherwise, if you want to stay informed as well, please subscribe to my channel. Auf Wiedersehen.